this special meeting of the Pike County Fiscal Court. This meeting is being held today because on Tuesday, our regular court meeting, we have a Cole County Coalition meeting with legislators and state officials in Frankfort, and I felt that it was important that members of the court would be there so that we can discuss the future of the coal severance tax. With that being said, I'd like to call the meeting to order and ask Brother Jimmy Dale Sanders if he would say the invocation for us.
Let's bow our heads, please. Heavenly Father, we thank you for all your blessings. Thank you for the atonements your Son made in our behalf. Thank you for the great love he gave to all of us. Remember this court here. Remember all the workers. Remember the judge, that we're able to make good decisions for this county. Remember all of our workers, and especially remember our sick folks everywhere. We humbly ask you today, Lord, just bless us and look over us and take care of us. In Jesus' name we pray and ask, and amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Judge Jones?
Present.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Here.
Commissioner Booth?
We have a quorum and we are ready to proceed, and I would like to ask Mr. Hensley if he would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin, I have a good friend that's a gentleman who serves, has done a lot to help this county, who has been very active in our senior citizens program, who has been a little bit under the weather. Mr. Eugene Gibbs is in the hospital with some heart-related issues, and I would just like to ask everyone to lift him and his family up in prayers, and we wish him a speedy recovery. He's tough as nails, so hopefully he'll be back working before too long. But again, Eugene is a good friend to this county, and we just hope he has a speedy recovery. Next item on the agenda is the adoption of a resolution of the Pike County Fiscal Court authorizing the filing of a Kentucky Local Government Economic Development Fund House Bill 200 project proposal for $25,000 in local government economic development single county funds for matching funds for a Center for Rural Development Technical Assistance Program grant for additional funding to complete a feasibility study and strategic implementation plan for Pike County Broadband and approval to execute all related documents. Ms. Hall, would you please come up to the microphone and give us an explanation of why that we need to do this? As you know, this court has not, to my knowledge, appropriated very much money from our coal severance tax account. We have a substantial balance, but when I was in the legislature, I felt that money needed to be used for economic development to try to create jobs, put people back to work. Would you explain the need for this? And then I just want to briefly address, and Commissioner Robertson, who has been working on this issue, may want to comment as well.
Yes, the original amount that the county had been awarded.
Would you pull the microphone closer so we make sure it picks up?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, speak up, please.
Oh, okay. The original amount that was awarded to Pike County Fiscal Court to do this broadband feasibility study and implementation plan was $85,000. $59,500 came from EDA, Economic Development Administration, and $25,500 came from Kentucky Power. We went through an RFQ process, request for qualifications. We have a broadband committee that did that. They met with the people that applied to do this job for us, scored them, interviewed them, selected an engineering firm to do the project, and once we got into the cost and the scope of the project, we realized we didn't have enough funding, so we knew we had to go back to the table and apply again. We applied for a grant from the Center for Rural Development, a technical assistance program grant, and the required match on that is $25,000. they would not allow us to use the 25,000 from Kentucky Power because that really was matched on the EDA. So that's why we're back at the table now, is to get our match to go with the Center for Rural Development for those funds.
So we have to do this because they wouldn't let us use the other
Right. They wouldn't
funds
let
as a
us use
match.
the other funds as match.
You know, I think we need to probably do this. Ronnie, what's your take on this? The Kentucky Wire initiative that came out of SOAR was a good thing in theory. But, you know, when you get down to doing, you know, the first mile, second mile, and then the last mile, I think is the way they've categorized it. You know, you've got companies that are already, local companies included, already investing in broadband. And what impact does it have on local businesses, and how do we implement that even once the feasibility study's done? I mean, what's your position on that? Or
Well, we do need this money to go any further, really. I mean, we're at a standstill unless we, you know, can have this money so we can go forward with it. But
you've put a lot of time in on this issue, and I defer to you because you know far more about this, you and Judge Hickman.
This broadband is valuable to this county. We need it, and the businesses need it, and you know, even go to our industrial park. You know, once we get it up and start trying to find people to go in there, you know, we need this. I mean, the whole county needs it.
I had a conversation, I was at the IDEA Board meeting yesterday, and had a conversation with IDEA Board member Justin Prater, who is an investment banker at BB&T, but before that he ran the Innovation Center. And you know, he was talking about a local business that he helped do the business plan for, helped get started when he was in the Innovation Center. And their revenue is now up to $5 million, and they're based here in the county, but their biggest problem they have is limited connectivity. And, you know, when you can grow a small business like that and employ, you know, their employment's going up. So I wanted your input on this.
Well, and also, Judge, if we can get this broadband into this county, a lot of people can work from home a whole lot better. I mean, they can have a job and be paid for it, but they can also work from home.
And that's a growing trend with the TeleWorks program that's located over on Ford Mountain. I mean, that's created a lot of jobs here. And it is a trend. I mean, there are people doing customer service work and tech support for companies located all over the world, but they're here.
Yeah.
So, and I appreciate the work that you and Judge Hickman have done on this. And with that explanation, is there a motion to adopt a resolution requesting $25,000 in LGEDF single county funds pursuant to House Bill 200 for matching funds for Center for Rural Development Technical Assistance Program grant? And approval to execute all related documents by the Judge Executive. There's a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any other comment or discussion? Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Thank you very much. The next item is we'll ask Mr. Fannin to come up to the podium, our procurement officer. This is authorization for the Pike County Treasurer to process a wire transfer in the amount of $243,290.46 to U.S. Bank. Is it U.S. Bank or PNC?
U.S. Bank are actually the people that KCO deals with. From what I understand, our payments go to KCO or are deposited in U.S. Bank, and then a check is wrote from U.S. Bank to PNC.
So this is the authorization for the county treasurer to process a wire transfer in the amount of $243,209.46 to U.S. Bank for the payoff of 6 Dodge Mini Packers. Can I briefly just address this? This is, when this court came in, we recognized that there was a problem with our Mini Packer fleet. And at the last court meeting, we had a discussion with Tom Ramsey and Chuck Morley from our solid waste department, Tom Ramsey being our consultant. And Chuck's opinion is, as the manager, is that we need to replace all 12 Mini Packers. We were running a fleet that had 03 models, 06 and 09. The 03s are all out of service. They've been cannibalized to get parts off of them for the 06s and 09s because a lot of the parts they don't even make anymore. Is that correct, Commissioner Robertson? I think. Correct. So we've got vehicles that they don't even make parts for any longer. And these trucks, the Dodges, we thought the county owned. The county does not own them outright. They were part of a long-term lease that was entered into by the previous administration, I think in 2016. Is that correct, Mr. Stacy? So these trucks have been a fiasco from the start because they were gasoline powered, they were too small. I think the trucks were too lightweight, and this is more down Commissioner Robertson's, and Commissioner Booth being very experienced in solid waste. Would you all just comment briefly on the suitability of the Dodge Packers for the use that they were purchased?
Well, the Dodge Mini Packers, the trucks were too light duty. They were gasoline engine, and that's just not what we need around these mountains and these roads we travel on. The biggest thing, they're just too light duty a truck. They don't have enough power. Can't keep transmissions in them. Can't keep the PTO pumps on them. So, I think all the warranty's gone out on them right now, aren't they?
I think most of them, if they're not out from under warranty, most of them are close to it.
Yeah, so that's just more we're going to have to eat. Repair. The transmissions overheat all the time, so.
I mean, some of them have had to have power takeoffs. Two of them have already had to have new engines put in them.
Yes.
So what we discovered is they're tied up in this lease. We don't have title to them, and there's 42 months left on the lease, I believe. I think at the end of 42 months, from what we've seen so far, I don't think any of these Dodges will be on. We have a better chances of the 06 and 09 GMCs being on the road at the end of that 42 months than these Dodge Packers.
That's exactly true.
So what I have asked Greg and Judge Hickman to do was to find out what we have to do to pull those vehicles. There's still $900 and some thousand owed on that lease, to see if we could pull the mini Packers out of the lease so that we can either trade them in, auction them off, or take the beds off and buy new chassis for them and auction off or sell the gasoline chassis. So that is, in this number, is only good through, I believe, the 18th. So that's one of the reasons we had the court meeting today, is the earlier we can do this, the less interest we're going to have to pay. Now, this is a big outlay of money that we had not anticipated, but, with solid waste rates going up, we have to be able to pick the trash up. And it goes directly to customer service. Fortunately, we were able to get some additional coal service tax money, and our collections are doing better in solid waste. So it would be my recommendation. I'm not going to make the motion because I'm going to defer to the members of the court, particularly all three of the commissioners who've worked on this issue and are intimately familiar with the problem. So is there a motion to authorize the county treasurer to process a wire transfer in the amount of $243,290.46 to U.S. Bank for the payoff of 6 Dodge Mini Packers? We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. So before we move on, would you all, Commissioner Tackett, what's your opinion on what we should do? Do you I'd like all of your input for our staff and for the public on are we better off trading them in? You all have all looked at this issue. Are we better off leasing new ones, trading them in, cannibalizing them, getting the beds off?
Take the beds off, I think, and maybe do a little overkill on the GVW on the other trucks that we put back in. That's my opinion. You know, if 5500s can't help it, or can't handle their 45s, I mean, I just don't see the difference in I know there's more torque power in a diesel, because that's what I've always run in my business, but, you know, and then the gas, but the weight wise, I think is what kills these trucks. I think we should upgrade a step higher.
So
I mean, I know
you
the
think
hollows are tighter, where these trucks can get in and out, but just get a better turn ratio in the front end on a truck, is my opinion.
One of the things that I've not had an opportunity to look at it, but I received a memo yesterday from Mr. Charles Carlton, who went over with Chuck Morley to look and see what they do in Virginia. And what we found over there is they won't even take a county road in unless there's a turnaround at the end. So like we have, you know, these one-lane roads, Apollos, they won't even take them in. So, and their solid waste system is operated quite a bit differently than ours. There's also issues about how well it works. But you think we need a bigger gross weight chassis?
I think so.
And the question is then, do we go, you know, maybe Commissioner Robertson, do we take the beds off and buy new trucks, or do we see what we could do trading them in?
I think we need to go no less than a 25,000 GVW chassis. And if we can find that chassis, you can get air brakes, and you can get a pretty good turning radius on it. You know, we could check and take the mini packer boxes off and put on a GVW like that. Or, you know, I'm up for seeing if we can sell them and buy new, or, you know, we just need to check it out 2 or 3 different ways, I think, you know.
Here's one of the things is, if we need 12 new ones, I don't think we do what the previous court did. I don't think you buy 6 of one thing, because if you buy them and they have the same kind of problems they have with these Dodges, then you're stuck with 6 of them. So are we better off trying to maybe buy, you know, trade 2 of them in now, or 3 of them? So that way, if if we go down the same road, we get a different vehicle, different make or model, higher gross vehicle weight. If you've got 6 of them, if you replace all 6 of them at one time, and you don't like what you get, then you're stuck with those 2. You're right back to square one.
It's true.
So,
Judge, another thing is we could check, I think it's coming up this fall to take those one trucks back to the auction. And it might be something where it's going to be in the south, they can use a gas truck better down south than what they do a diesel.
and it may be that we can auction these trucks or trade them and come out. I'm a little concerned about trying to take the beds off and put them on a new chassis. I mean, that's a lot of work. It may, you know, then you have, you know, if you get something that you trade in for or buy something new, whether you trade the Dodges in or you sell them, you get something, whether you buy it or lease it, it's going to be under warranty. Mm-hmm. If you go buy a chassis and you take them to the maintenance garage and put these new old beds on them, you may void your warranty on them, and if it doesn't work out, you know, we're not in the manufacturing business, so I would just about be inclined to just completely disregard the notion of
taking it. Could we, Frankie might could check with that, where we take the trucks back to, and see if we could get them in that auction.
and we can set it, I'm sorry, Commissioner.
I said, why don't we try to put one on like an online auction with the bed and all on it, and see what you do on an online auction?
We have, you know, the statute, there's limitations on how we have to go about selling property. The easiest way may be, Frankie, I've never done this before. If we traded them in and you buy new trucks, you still have to put the other trucks out for bid, don't you? Would that be, so if we buy new trucks or lease them, we have to put it out for bid. Would part of the bid be that they would have to take these trucks in on trade? How does that work? I've never done that before, so that's a new one for me.
The bid would just be for the new trucks at that stated price. Whether you trade in or not shouldn't be an option on as part of the bid.
Okay, but my question is, if you wanted to trade them in and you put the bid out, how could you do that? Because wouldn't you have to auction off the other trucks?
Well, I'm saying you could make that a condition of the bid, but, you know, if they didn't do it, you know, they can write an exception as if they accept that bid, or they could agree to it, you know.
Okay, let's just say this. You go out and you put a bid out for new trucks. But you're really wanting to trade these Dodges in.
Yes.
How would you go about doing that? You put the bid out for the new trucks.
If I was going to put the bid out, I would already know what size and basically model of truck I want anyway.
But that's not my question. My question is, how do you do the trade-in, though? I mean,
The trade-in would basically be a separate transaction.
Would you have to auction them, though, or does the statute let us?
You can trade in. You can, I mean, as far as the bid goes, the bid would just be for the new trucks at
But then
X
you
number
can
of dollars.
negotiate a trade-in value to come off of the price.
trade-in to come off the price,
Okay,
yes.
But my concern was, would you have to put an auction those off?
No.
Or have a public sale to get rid of them?
As long as the court is in agreement on what the trade-in value would be for the trucks,
Okay.
no, they can trade them in.
And it's, you know, we might be able to sell these trucks into a small town, or, you know, they'd work fine like in the city of Pikeville or something like that, but.
I think if you didn't trade them in, you'd probably have to auction them, though. Is that right?
You can do online public auctions. There is we tried it once before there is a federal government public auction, online auction, and we did list a couple of trucks in it one time. I didn't like the results of it because the people that bought the trucks said that they weren't what the item was listed, because, like you said, it was parked over at the maintenance garage and they had scavenged parts off of it. So when they showed up to pick the truck up, they thought they were getting a running truck, and some of them didn't even have engines in them. So it kind of, I don't know who actually listed the items. It wasn't me that actually did it.
I got
But
you.
the description didn't match what they actually bought, and it didn't kind of work out too good.
In this job, nothing surprises me.
Right.
Hey, Greg, have you priced or checked and seen what the Dodge trucks we got now with the Packer on them is selling for?
I haven't. It's hard to compare something like that, but to refer back to one of your questions, Judge, is that if you wrote a bid package to buy new trucks with the intent of possibly trading in, as long as the bid package was wrote for lowest evaluated bid that's in the best interest of Pike County, I think you could, after the bids were set, let them give you a trade-in value, and then even though one might not be the lowest bid, but going to give you more money for your trade-in, that would
It's
be
the
the
lowest evaluated bid.
in the best interest of Pike County. So I would think that would be the way to do that.
I think we're better off just getting rid of them and not messing with them anymore, whether we auction them or trade them in. Quicker we get rid of them, the better. The question is, you know, do you try two different makes and models? Do you try, you know, to put two different bids out? We need to make that decision fairly, you know, I would say by October, we need to be in a position to do that. And we need to I had a conversation with Fabian yesterday about the capital plan that we're trying to get together. We need to get that done quickly. And, but, you know, Commissioner Booth, what's your take on all this as far as because you probably know more about the solid waste aspect than.
Yeah, I think it would be a good idea to try, you know, not have all the same trucks, because I think we will run into places where we'll need a smaller truck. And also, I would auction the trucks off. I don't think I'd try to trade them in. I think we'd just be better off to sell the trucks as a whole unit instead of trying to take beds off and everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, anything else on this issue? Judge Hickman, you have anything?
Well, I agree with Brian. I mean, I think you got to sell them. There was a thought at one time that maybe the chassis was worth as much or more value to us than having the chassis and the body on the truck, because there's plenty of people out there that'll buy a gasoline Dodge chassis, you know, that's in the range that we're looking at, but, and that may be another option to look at, Judge. But I agree with what the court's saying right here, that we're better off just to sell them straight out.
Or, you know, I mean, it's an option that we can look at. If we buy new trucks that are already upfitted with bodies on them from a solid waste business, they may have an outlet for the trucks like they are with that body on them. I mean, it's an option. We can see what they would give them for us. If it's not what we think is enough, you know, we could look at options. You know, we need to look at our options, whether we auction them off or whether we trade them in. However we can get the most money out of them, I think it'd be most beneficial to us.
Well, one thing that the truck committee, if you will, was attempting to do was to write a tight spec right here of exactly what the county wants and what the court wants, leaving the only thing that was left to do was to determine the size, you know. So I was really in hopes that an 8 cubic yard truck would be the one where we would land, and we would go up from a 6. I think we determined the other day that 11 cubic yard probably is not going to work every place we need to go, but an 8 might. So that's still yet to be determined. But certain other features like the lighting packages, the mirror packages, the engine packages, and some of that type thing, I think the committee pretty much buttoned up the other day, and they know what they want. It's just a matter now of getting possession of these trucks and then getting them sold and purchasing a new truck or leasing a new truck. That decision's not been made yet. And Frankie and I have talked about the values of lease versus purchase, and I guess that's yet to be determined by the court.
I think the committee that you're referring to has had some good discussions about what we need.
Very good. Very good discussions.
A lot of you have done more research on it than I have and know more about what we need than I do, but I think an 8-yard would be great if we can use that. We can't get too big. We can't get it to the head of the haulers.
Yeah.
I think if you go with a truck that's big enough that has the air brakes, it's too big of a truck, not only in length but also in height, getting up these hollows. But if we can go to an 8-yard, if we can go to an end dump 8-yard, that'll eliminate all that compaction time that we have. And if we go with an 8-yard end dump, I proposed some questions to the company that we were talking about would an end dump 8-yard go on a 6500 GM truck with a 6.6 Duramax Allison transmission, which is the type of truck that we've had so much luck out of. As the judge referred to earlier, there's a good chance that those trucks will still be running when these 15 models would no longer be. So it's not like you're getting a new truck that you're trying out. It's a proven truck, a proven engine and transmission that we've had great success with in the past. And they have actually just come back out with 55 and 6500 size trucks like those in the last year or so. But with that 6.6 Duramax and the Allison transmission, if the weight carrying capacity of the GVWR on a 6500 truck will take care of an 8-yard end dump truck, possibly our answer.
Yeah, well, and the other thing too with those 55s and 6500s with the Duramax is it has a tilt hood. And so if you do have a turbo problem or you do have issues like that, you don't have to lift the cab anymore.
Right, tilt hood. So actually what he's saying is the fenders, the hood and all flip forward like on a big truck. Now, we had talked at one time also in the committee about maybe going to a cab over truck. But when you go to a cab over truck, in that type of truck, you don't get the 6.6 Duramax engine, you get a 5.2 4-cylinder Duramax engine, which a whole lot less horsepower, which I don't think that's what we want.
Hey, Greg, trash trucks online, you can check them out there. I think whatever way we go on the mini packer trucks, we should try to get the most bang for a buck. You know, if it's separate them or sell them all as one package, or, you know, truck and bed both.
One other thing I would like to mention about this payoff to the bank on these 6 trucks, I called a few days ago because I wanted to be for sure and posed a question to the bank about if we go ahead and pay these 6 trucks off. We do an amendment to this lease. Will it actually change our monthly premium for the remainder of 42 months, or will it leave our premium the same and shorten the term on the lease? I finally got an answer back this morning that the amendment will cause the term to stay the same, but it will reduce our monthly premium payment on that lease.
That's what I expected, Frankie. I don't know. Is that what you expected?
I wanted to be sure.
Yeah, that was my expectation. That would be what would happen. I don't know, Ron.
I've got one more question. On the 243,000, if we pay it off, was it 900 and some thousand? So is the remaining money that's on those big trucks, right?
6 tankers, yes.
Okay, so when we send them back, that will,
No, we own.
okay, those are ours, okay, okay.
Well, and there is one pickup truck on that lease also.
Yeah, for the recycling.
Okay.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I know.
One thing on this, just are the Dodges 15 or 16 model year?
The 15 models.
15 model year. So they're 15s, they're 5 years old, and we still owe 3.5 years on them roughly.
Correct.
One interesting thing is that when you started looking into this issue, we discovered that there was another truck that they had put a lien on that the county had bought that was not part of the lease package, but that for some reason they had put a lien on it, correct?
I think when they were trying to put together the lease package, they were going to include the F-750 truck in this lease package. Frankie advised me that he didn't think that was actually in the package. So after doing some investigating, they actually sent me a lien release on that F-750, so it is not part of that lease.
The lien's been released.
That's what I was asking. It was, so that was just a discovery that we made. All right. Thank you very much, sir. And next we have the Pike County Road Supervisor's report and the approval of the Pike County Commissioner's recommended road maintenance. Mr. Little, I'm going to send you an email right now that I received from a gentleman about Tackett Fork, up Bear Fork, Tackett Fork over into Floyd County that apparently needs some attention. If you could get the District 2 road crew to take a look at that at some point or put it on the list, we'd appreciate that. Do the commissioners have anything else that needs to be added to this, with the exception of the my request that we add Tackett Fork?
Are you talking about Bear Fork?
Bear Fork over into
That
Tackett Fork.
goes over
Yeah,
into
into Tackett Fork.
See, the county only maintenance is just a little ways off the blacktop there.
Okay.
We only have like 3/10, I think.
I think it's three.
Jason and I marked it off. I think it's like 3/10.
It's to the first drain pipe after you cross the little hill there, going in it. There's a cemetery on the right, the first right-hand hollow there. And I think it's as far as it goes.
So it doesn't go all the way to the top of the hill?
No.
Our maintenance does not go to the top of that hill. And I would say that's where what he was talking about.
We checked on that.
I've been over, I used to, I've been there. It's been a while since I've been up that far at Bear Fork, but over where it goes over into Tackett Fork on Mud Creek.
Yeah, that's not ours.
Okay, so it's not in the system?
It's not in the county system.
I had assumed that it was, but
No.
that's why
That's the
you're,
reason I wanted to sit up here and I wanted to,
that's why you're the road supervisor, so that answers the question.
there you go.
Again, it goes back to what we talked about yesterday. There's a lot of misinformation. The state records, the county records, and the ad district records don't match up on what's in the system versus what's not. So is there a motion to approve the Pike County Commissioner's recommended road maintenance for the next, until the next court meeting?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. And, I'd mentioned we're on a sort of a short time constraints today. the folks on here, out there can't see how much work is done from meeting to meeting. So at the next meeting, if the commissioners would indulge Mr. Little, I'd like to have him just go down the list and read in detail. If we have to sit here for 30 minutes, we'll sit here. But I think it's important that the people in the county hear how much road work is done and what's scheduled, so that way they'll know. We started out doing that early, but these meetings have gone so long at times that we stopped doing that. But I think at the next meeting, we're going to go back to making sure that people know exactly what's been done, and it's a fairly long list. So, but we have a motion and a second. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. Next item is a treasurer's business. Mr. Stacy, please proceed.
Authorize payment of the expenditure approval list dated August 15, 2019, and any other utility and telephone bills received before checks are run.
Is there authorization for payment of the expenditure approval list dated August 15th and any other utility and telephone bills received before checks are printed?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? A second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. One issue I do want to, that I need to talk to Brian Morris, our jailer, about is we noticed on this bill run that the medical care for the jail was $120,000, I believe.
And I think sometimes what happens is Southern Health Partners don't get all their bills in for a month, and then they almost double up the next month. So
What does that usually run per month?
he stays within budget for the year, but sometimes they lag on their billing. So sometimes they'll almost bill him 2 months at one time. So, and I'm thinking that's what happened this month, because they usually send him about one bill a week or so, and I think there was like 6 or 7 invoices.
All right, it was 102,000, I misspoke,
Right.
but yeah, we've had some discussions about, looking for an alternative provider to see, or getting some other folks to look at it to see if we can find a way to save some money on that.
Right.
So Brian's done a great job. Their jail revenue was a record. I was hoping he could come to this meeting, but I'm going to get him to come over to the next meeting.
Hey,
They
Judge.
billed,
Spoke to Jason. Last month was 311,000.
yeah, he's talking about Jason Fields, who's one of the jail administrators. I think that was the most that the jail had ever billed. So the more, and the taxpayers need to understand, the more we can generate in revenue, the less tax money we have to put in to subsidize it.
Yep.
So
They're doing a great job.
They're doing a great job. The next item is the authorized registration lodging expenses for employees who will attend the National Animal Care and Control Conference on October 7th to 11th in Kannapolis, North Carolina. And this is for employees, I assume, at the animal shelter.
Right now, there's one employee that's going to go, but this will be a general order in case somebody else from the shelter needs to go as well.
All right. Is there a motion?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Authorize registration, lodging, and expenses for those employees who wish to attend the 45th Annual CAECO Conference, October 23rd through the 25th, at the Galt House Hotel in Louisville.
Is there a motion to authorize registration lodging expenses for employees who wish to attend the 45th Annual CAECO Conference at the Galt House in Louisville?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second?
Second.
With second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes. I do want to say that, this court has had a more limited relationship with CAECO, the organization, than probably at any time in the past. And what we're finding, and I think Mr. Stacy would back me up, that we've got at least one bank that on the lease program that's already said that they'll give us a much better rate than what KCO was. Is that correct?
Yes, a local bank.
A local bank that, whose employees live here and pay taxes. And I certainly hope that we can do business with local banks that their people live in this county and pay property taxes and pay occupational taxes, than sending it to KCO. Because if you go back and look at what KCO, with the issues with their insurance, and I think that we're going to continue to reevaluate. We've already moved our liability and workers' comp away from KCO when we save money. I think we need to continue to analyze closely any involvement that we have with KCO. I have been, considering asking the court to look about not joining back to KCO, because we always have the Commissioners and Magistrates Association, we have the Judges Association, and there's a lot of training where, that we can get aside from KCO. A lot of the training I believe that we've seen there is redundant, and I'm going to see how this conference goes, and if it's more of the same, then I may come before the court and ask us not to renew our membership next year. That's just, the court may disagree with me on that, but that's just 1 out of 4 votes, and something I just think that we need to look at. So the next item is Mr. Stacy.
Acknowledge receipt of sheriff and the clerk's 2550 report for July 2019.
Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the sheriff's and clerk's 2550 reports for July 2019?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Acknowledge receipt of the treasurer's monthly financial statement for the month ending July 31st, 2019.
Is there a motion to acknowledge receipt of the monthly financial statement ending July 31st, 2019?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Booth. I would point out that does not reflect the additional coal severance tax money that we received.
No, we actually received it about August 2nd was when we got the check, I think it was. So it'll reflect in the August financial statement.
All right. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any other question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
Authorize a check in the amount of $9,895 to Geosyntech Consultants for the annual survey at the solid waste landfill.
I believe that survey is required by law. Is that correct, Larry? Is that? Okay. Is there a motion to authorize a check in the amount of $9,895 to Geosyntech Consultants for the annual survey at the solid waste landfill?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Booth. Is there a second? I'm sorry, Commissioner Roberts.
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner Booth. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes.
The last item I have would be to authorize a check in the amount of $404,597.08 to Mountain Enterprises for draw request number 1 on FEMA Hazard Mitigation Project 4217, which is the Fish Trap Road Connector Upper Pompey project.
So my question for you is this. Will we get reimbursement for that, or have we already received it?
We have to pay it first, then we get reimbursed.
Okay, so we will get that money back,
Yes,
the full amount?
full amount.
Okay, and it's not going to cause any kind of cash flow problems to do it now?
No, not at this time.
All right. Is there authorization or a motion to authorize a check in the amount of $404,597.08 to Mountain Enterprises for draw request 1 on FEMA Hazard Mitigation Project 4217 Fish Trap Road to Upper Pompey Connector?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any question or discussion?
I just want to tell everybody I have traveled that road since it has been, the asphalt's been put down, and it really looks good.
Thank you, sir.
That's all I had, Judge.
All right. The next item on the agenda is,
We need to get a vote.
see, thank you. Ronnie's comments threw me off there. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. It's a little different in Frankfurt because they've got that big board up there and they're,
Oh,
so the next item is executive session. Mr. King, would you please read the appropriate Kentucky Revised Statutes prior to a motion?
We need a motion pursuant to KRS 61-810 subsection C, the exception to discuss pending litigation, and subsection F to discuss specific personnel matters.
Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
Motion.
We have a motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes, we are adjourned for executive, in recess for executive session, and we'll return to call the chair. Motion to adjourn from executive session. Motion. We have a motion by Commissioner Robertson. Is there a second? Second. We have a second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson,
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth,
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes. Next item is authorization for personnel decisions and approval for salaries. It is my motion to approve the hiring of Fayette Thacker as a finance assistant at a 2A rate of pay effective 8/19/19, and to amend the order from August 6th court meeting to state David Mullins' effective hire date is July 30th, 2019. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Robertson. Is there any question or discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson.
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett.
Yes.
Commissioner Booth.
Yes.
Judge Jones.
Yes, I do want to address a couple of issues briefly before we move on with regard to personnel. Ms. Thacker, who is here, has a degree in accounting and business from the University of Pikeville, and she also has an MBA from the University of Pikeville. And one of the reasons that she's being hired is to address an issue that was raised by S&P. I believe it was in the press release when they revoked the county's credit rating. One of the issues that came about during the last administration when the county lost its credit rating in June of 2018 was the fact that there was no oversight, checks and balances, or backup in either the treasurer's office, in the county treasurer's office. At that time, the county treasurer was basically doing the job of both the treasurer and the finance commissioner, which is prohibited by law. There's a separation of the duties in those two offices by statute. And the reason for that is for accountability and to make sure that money's not misappropriated. And in the current situation, we have our county treasurer, Frankie Stacy, and we have our finance supervisor, Pam Vanover. But neither one have any backup. If one of them gets sick, if one of them were to be injured, or if Ms. Vanover, who's eligible to retire, decided to retire, we have no one in county government with the education or background that could fill that position, in my opinion. Ms. Thacker's hire will be the last administrative position that will be hired in the county, most likely during the rest of this administration, at least during the next 3 years. We have a lot of issues that we have to address on a personnel matter. One of the things that's really hurting the county is our sick leave policy. Presently, county employees can accrue up to 3 months of sick leave. So if someone's off on sick leave, you have the vacancy in the position, and the employee still draws a salary. That's very unusual in any government entity. We've also changed the policy on donated sick leave. So in essence, if someone was off for a medical condition and that people would donate sick leave, they would simply be drawing a salary in perpetuity. And the problem with that is we have jobs on our road lot and solid waste in particular that are vacant. We have 7 people off right now on sick leave. And it's creating a major issue. I believe it's 7. Is that correct, Mr. Maynard? We recently had, it was 8, one employee came back to work, but you have 7 employees off on sick leave, they're drawing a salary, we have no one to do the job. And when you start looking at your road lots or solid waste lots, that creates major problems because we're trying to do this with this limited staffing. The raises that we have given, for instance, in our solid waste office, we had our office manager and our overall manager, Chuck Morley, were making less than the foreman that they supervised. And they've done a fantastic job. That's not right. We had some inequities that we need to be addressed. We had some employees, for instance, our grant writer, she received a raise, and there's a reason. She's paid for herself. She has generated more money in grants than we've seen. Miss Estep did a great job. And the county would not give her a raise to keep her, and she's now at Pikeville Medical Center. When you have someone that's generating money, bringing money into county government, they deserve a raise. And if there's opportunities, for instance, with Ms. Hall's background, she could have been hired by the city or any other government entity with her background. But if someone's helping the county financially and they're paying their way, they need to be rewarded. And our collections are up in solid waste. Our manager over there is doing a great job. There's a lot of work being done. So we are trying to make sure, and as you know, we replaced the commissioner. The position of solid waste commissioner has all but been eliminated. But by eliminating that position, it more than makes up. We save money when you look at the minimal raises that were given to the office manager and the general manager. Those positions together probably are close to what we were spending just on a commissioner position. Maybe not quite even, but we've saved money there. We've looked at things like that. It may be that as we move forward in a year or so that we make some changes in the Finance and Administration Office, the way it's organized, to save money. But the one thing we can't do with trying to make the changes that we're doing is we can't have people who have institutional knowledge, who know the programs and the departments. If they leave, it creates a massive problem because if you bring someone else in, there's a steep learning curve for some of these offices. So I do not foresee any other administrative hire. So we've had a lot of people turning in applications. We probably will not be able to fill any of those positions. There probably will be a need for some positions like Class A CDL drivers and maybe a few other positions. But until we change the sick leave policy, it's going to continue to hurt this county's ability to service our county roads and to take care of the needs in solid waste. Would there be any of the members of the court that would like to address that briefly? All right. Next item is the Pike County Department of Supervisors' comments. Is there anything? All right. Mr. Williamson, please come up.
We've had a bunch of students out yesterday from UPike. We've had 30. I've had 20 Oak Grapevine and 10 Oak South Wimpson. And cleaning, painting, spreading mulch, and just volunteer help. And what we've been able to accomplish with, the help. And they've done a good job. And they're coming back, I believe, on the 24th. We're going to work them another day then. It's on Saturday, but we're going to work them. So, and it's just like the jail release, the help that we get from them over, because we can't make it without them, on several different things. You call them and they're eager to help, and, but tremendous help we got, and I'd just like to thank all our county workers too, because we got a lot of them, takes a lot of pride in their jobs.
Well, your department does a great job. A lot of our county workers love this county, and they love working to make it a better place to live and work and raise a family. On behalf of the Pike County Fiscal Court, please extend our sincere appreciation to the students from UPike who are helping, and also the inmates. Without the inmates' assistance, many of our parks, playgrounds, and community buildings would likely be shut down because of our budget constraints.
Right.
So again, please express our appreciation and thank you for your hard work. Anyone else have anything? Mr. Spears, before the next meeting, at the next meeting, would you be willing to go ahead and give us a comprehensive update on the implementation of the safety program? Yes, sir. All right. Mr. Keene, anything? Mr. Hickman? No, sir. Next is the Pike County Commissioners' comments. Commissioner Robertson, District 1.
I just want to thank all the employees of this county. This county is moving forward. You all have done a great job. I just want to thank you so much. And I'm sure the people of this county, if they'll just look around a little bit, or if they watch any TV or Pike County TV, they'll know that you're all working hard for them. I just want to thank you.
Commissioner Tackett, District 2.
I know the people of Pike County get tired of hearing just be patient, but I think this week we've had 3 out of 6 weed mowers. 3 of them's been down. I mean, that's the only thing I can tell you, just be patient. We may be working in the hollow next to you, but we will eventually get to your hollow, and it just takes time. Same way with the blacktop patching. We're coming. It's just we've got some equipment issues, and as we get them fixed, we'll be there. Another thing, we've got a county cruise in at Pike Central Sunday. Starts at 4:30 p.m. till the last car leaves. I just like the people out there in county know that. They, after church, if they want to come and see some nice looking cars, just come over to Pike Central. We usually have 4 or 5 vendors there, so for food. Jimmy Dale, I had something we still on for Monday. Did you get a hold of everybody? Okay. And other than that, Judge, I just want to thank our county employees. They're out there getting with it. So that's about it.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Booth, District 3.
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the jail over, especially for taking good care they have of our parks. Burrow and them has done an outstanding job. All them guys over at jail taking care of our parks, keeping them mowed and everything. They've done a real good job. And I'd just like to thank the Inclement County employees for what and all they've done now. And I was over at the landfill Wednesday, I believe it was, or Thursday one, and it really still looks good. The landfill's looking good, doing a good job over there and all. So that's about all I have, Judge.
We appreciate your hard work on the solid waste side and everything, all your advice, and I think you have a large role in helping Larry get the landfill in the shape it needs to be in. Thank you.
It really looks good. It's improved so much. It's just like a completely different place.
A lot of the complaints that you had before you were elected in your other job, I think those have been addressed. Is that correct?
Yeah, we don't have near the flats. Everything's, it's just, like I said, it's just like a completely different place. It don't even look the same as it did. It's good. Thank you very much.
That brings me to the Judge Executive's comments. I've talked, as usual, probably more than I should. You know, we've had some good news here with the discretionary road money and the additional coal severance tax. And I think this court is running more professionally than it probably has in a long time. I think we've been the most transparent court, and I think we're trying to address this. The first thing that we have to do is manage the county's finances and make sure, because if what happens here in the courthouse isn't done correctly, it impacts our ability to service the people of the county. If it's not done right on the financial and administration and the financial management side, nothing else is going to work. It's going to impact our ability to service our roads. It's going to impact our ability to provide service to our solid waste customers. It's going to impact our ability to take care of county property, county community buildings, county parks. You have to have this house in order before anything else works, and I think we're making great strides in that. That's why we're hiring Ms. Thacker to give us some backup and redundancy. And, you know, you have to have, we're putting smart, educated people in these positions because we're not making political hires. We're not hiring people because of who they are, what connections they may have. We're hiring people because they have the ability to lead these departments and move the county in the right direction. That's our responsibility. And if we take care of the financial administration side of this county, good things will happen. If you have things that happen like in the past with the county losing its credit rating, when auditors were, constantly not even being able to sign off on an audit because of poor record keeping, we're not going to tolerate that. And I asked Mr. Stacy earlier this week, I showed him the newspaper from the News Express talking about the prior court and the 2018 audit. I said, don't ever let this happen to this court. And, we will hold him and everyone else in county government accountable if we have those kind of problems arise. That's why we have to have checks and balances. That's why we're going to put people in positions to make sure those kind of things don't happen again. I want to just commend the commissioners because they give, they're providing the leadership this county's not had for some time. Yesterday, when I recorded the Pike County Report TV show, I talked about a problem in District 5, which is the road lot for Phelps, Blackberry, Majestic, Freeburn, and that's a large area. And we've had a lot of complaints about potholes. Well, those potholes, many of them were there last year. It's my understanding that the prior magistrate, who basically controlled that road lot, did not allow J.B. Dotson, who was the interim road foreman, to do any pothole patching. And if I'm incorrect on this, I'll stand corrected. The information I have is they did no pothole patching, and the road crews spent a lot of time last summer building ramps that went into the river. I know there's one on Blackberry at Hatfield-McCoy Park. Is there another one they built last year at Freeburn? And there's nothing wrong with having ramps into the river. We're trying to help develop the river. We're trying to develop a trail system. But the priority of the road department is to take care of the roads. The road department employees should never have been used to build boat ramps. And when they built the boat ramps, they were put in backwards. They were built facing into the current. So every time you get a big flood event or a high water event, it just washes them out. And I can't imagine trying to put a boat of any size in the water on a ramp against the current, because as soon as it gets in, the current's going to take it. I mean, it's illogical to do that. But because there was no pothole patching, that road crew is behind. They're trying to get 2 years of pothole patching done before the blacktop plants close. Hopefully, the blacktop plants will be open. Last year, they were open up until December. Let's hope that we have a mild fall and we don't have an early winter, and we can continue to work on that. We should be able to get it all done. Mr. Little, our road supervisor, indicated that will all be done. But again, I'm going to remind the folks out there, there were weed problems before I even talked about it on my radio show back in 2017, because I live up Left Fork of Island Creek and the weeds didn't even get cut till August. We have right now 3 mowers, is what I learned today, that are down. Part of it's because of the equipment we inherited. This court didn't come in with brand new equipment, didn't come in with new excavators or new weed mowers or new trucks. We've had a lot of problems with our equipment. And if the equipment's down, it doesn't matter how many employees you have. If the equipment's down, you can't do the road work. Our ditches, Mr. Little talked on the television program yesterday that, he's trying his best to get all the ditches pulled, because if you don't have drainage, you don't have roads. We've had massive damage done to county roads because ditches weren't cleaned out, because creeks weren't did. We're trying to address those. But with 36, 37 employees and equipment that is unreliable at times, it's impossible to take care of 1,200 miles of county roads. And with you get the $7.123 million budget down, and you take for the road department, you take the FEMA money out, and you take the money we spent that the road department contributes to the road maintenance garage, you're only looking at about $4 million or so, maybe $4.5 million at the most, to take care of 1,200 miles of county roads. That counts salaries, it counts employee benefits, that's fuel, that's vehicle maintenance, that includes drain pipes, gravel, asphalt. So, I mean, we're on a bare bones budget to take care of 1,200 miles, but our road crews are doing a great job of working with what they have, and our commissioners are staying on top of it. I know this week, was it Commissioner Booth and Commissioner Robertson were on the way out the door as I was coming in. They were going out to look at road problems around the county. We have a court that is actively involved in identifying problems, getting them addressed by the road department, and we're going to continue to do that. I want to close with one thing. Sometimes we hear a lot of criticism and complaints, but you know, sometimes people take the opportunity to thank county workers and express their appreciation. And there's a lot of good things that Pike County government does for the people of this county that often goes overlooked. But I want to read this to you. I received a letter dated August 9th from Egg and Karen Daniels at Mike's branch. And I just want to read this. It said, "Dear Honorable Ray Jones, we are writing to express our appreciation for the outstanding work performed by the District 1 road crew on Mike's branch. They did an especially great job in correcting a long-standing drain and erosion issue that had killed trees and eaten away the bank. After submitting the issue to the road office and talking with Foreman Ike Sanders, he identified the issue with the original drain placement that directed the flow into the bank. He quickly had a plan, and soon after, his crew showed up and fixed the situation in less than 3 hours. Chris Epling and James Morley did quality work in placing a substantial wall of rock that should withstand runoff from the heaviest rains. Fabian Little and Ronnie Robertson have a great road crew working here in District 1. The excellent support to this specific problem and other issues on Mike's branch really stands out. Our appreciation to all involved. Lastly, thank you, Ray Jones, for all your other initiatives to make Pike County a better place to live and work." I personally don't know Egg and Karen, but if they're listening or they're watching this program, thank you for taking the time to express your appreciation. And I would request that a copy of this letter be placed in the personnel file for Mr. Sanders, Mr. Epling, Mr. Morley, and also Mr. Little. We appreciate them taking the time to reach out to express their gratitude to the road department. Let me remind the people out there, the road work that our road crews do is dangerous. They're working with heavy equipment. They're moving trees. They're moving rocks. They're working sometimes on slides that are unstable. This is a very dangerous job. When we have flood events, when we have major storms, our road crews are out there making sure that the roads are open, that emergency vehicles can get in and out, and that people can get to and from work or school or church, whatever it may be. We had one fatality this year, and it is a dangerous job. In many cases, our road crews are underappreciated or unappreciated. And I want to thank Mr. and Ms. Daniels for taking the time to send a letter with photographs expressing their gratitude to the District 1 road crew. That concludes my remarks. And at this time, is there any other business to come before the court? It's been a very good meeting. It's taken a little longer than I hoped, but I'd like to ask Mr. William Spears if he would say the benediction.
Let's bow our heads. Father, we come to you and we give you thanks, Lord, for the blessings that you've bestowed upon us. We thank you for the court that you've anointed this county with, Lord, that we can move this county forward. We ask that you continue to guide and direct it, Lord, and guide the workers and guide the citizens of this county. We ask it all in the precious name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Is there a motion for adjournment?
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Tackett. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Booth. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Robertson?
Yes.
Commissioner Tackett?
Yes.
Commissioner Booth?
Yes.
Judge Jones?
Yes, we are adjourned. Thank you all.